Good morning, class. Today I am going to explain chapter number 3, tissues. Last class we have already discussed what is meant by cell. Cell is a structural and functional unit of life. What is meant by tissue? A group of similar cells or dissimilar cells which function together make up a tissue. A group of tissue forms organ. A group of organs working together to form organ system. Let us see what are tissues. As I told you, tissues are group of cells which performs same function. Here the group of cells are either similar or dissimilar in nature. Let's see now plant tissues first. Plant tissues are basically classified into two types. One is meristematic tissue, another one permanent tissues. What is mean by meristematic tissue? The cells which comes under meristematic tissue have the capability to multiply rapidly to produce new cells. So, the cells which comes under meristematic tissue have a capability to divide themselves. But permanent tissues, they lack the capability of cell division. There is no cell division that takes place in permanent tissues. As the name indicates, the tissues are permanent to do work. Let us see the definition of meristematic tissue or meristem. Meristematic tissue found at all growing regions of plant, such as the tips of roots, stem, branches, and also present between the bark and wood of trees. Bark in the sense the outermost region of a tree, and wood, you can see wood inside or in the middle area of a tree. So between bark and wood, you can see this meristematic tissue, where it leads to growth in diameter of a stem. So wherever you can see meristematic tissue, there definitely there will be a growth. Either it may be in height or diameter. It may increase the size, length or size. Next, what are the characteristics of meristematic tissue? Let us see the characteristics of meristematic tissue. See the cells. These are the cells of meristematic tissue. The cells are small, cubical in shape. Can you see the picture? They are cube in shape, cubical in shape. Cell wall is very thin, which helps in rapid cell division. Nuclei are large. Can you see? The nucleus is very large. Vacuoles are almost absent. There is no time to form vacuoles at all. Cells are tightly packed without any intercellular spaces. Can you see any spaces between the cells? No, you cannot see. Why? Because the cell multiplication or cell division is very rapid. So there will be no any intercellular spaces. Actively divide to add new cells. They keep on multiplying and keep on adding new cells. Newly formed cells are transformed into mature permanent tissues. So the old cells or the old tissues becomes permanent. Newly formed cells after few days or after few weeks, they becomes what? Permanent tissues or permanent cells. Now, types of meristematic tissue. There are three types of meristematic tissue, but in your syllabus they have given only two, that is apical and lateral. Let us see the three types of meristematic tissue. Apical or terminal meristem, cambium or lateral meristem, and intercalary meristem. See the picture? Apical meristem, this is located near the tips of roots, stems, and also in the growing young leaves and tips of axillary buds. So, as the name indicates, apex or tips. Apex in the sense terminal or tips. You can see growing tips like root tip, shoot tip, a growing bud. So, here you can see what type of meristem? Apical meristem or terminal meristem. Next, cambium or lateral meristem. As the name indicates, lateral, surrounding area, lateral or cambium meristem. This is situated below the bark. The outermost layer of a tree is nothing but bark. Just below that bark, you can see cambium or lateral meristem. And it is responsible for increase in the diameter of the stem, which increases the size of a stem. The length of plant is increased by apical meristem and the size of a stem is increased by lateral meristem. What is mean by intercalary meristem, which is not there in your syllabus, but better to know. Intercalary meristem, it is a type of meristem you can see only in nodes. Say for example sugarcane. In sugarcane, the edible part or the eatable part is node. So in that nodes, intercalary meristem is present, which adds or which increases the length of a node. Length of a node. Now, permanent tissues. After few days or few weeks, meristematic tissues lose the capability of cell division and becomes permanent tissue. When meristematic tissue lose the capability of cell division, then they are called permanent tissue. These are made up of cells which have lost the ability to divide. They take a permanent shape to perform some permanent function. They do some function, but it is always constant, but not the cell division. Cell division is absent in permanent tissue. They may be living or dead. Some permanent, few permanent tissues are living and few are dead. According to the function they performed, the permanent tissues are classified into three types. Permanent tissues classification. Now we are going to study classification of permanent tissues based on what function they performed. Yes. So there are three functions. One is protective or protection, support and conducting. So based on protective, supporting and conducting, permanent tissues are classified into different types. Let us see first protective tissue. Based on protection, the permanent tissues are classified into different types. Here the cells which comes under permanent tissue they has thick walls. They are usually found on the surface of roots, stem and leaves. As the name indicates, on the surface of root, stem, leaves, why they are present? To give protection. Protective tissue or permanent tissue gives protection. Say for example, the permanent tissue which is present in the leaves is called epidermis. The outermost layer of a leaf is called epidermis, which is one of the permanent tissue which secrete a waxy proof material, which secrete a waxy substance. If you want to check, you just put one drop of water on the surface of leaf. Definitely it will float. It won't absorb. So why? Because due to this deposition of waxy substance on the surface of leaf. This is secreted by epidermis of leaf, the outermost layer of a leaf. Now, supporting tissue. Based on support, permanent tissues are classified into three types. One is parenchyma, second one collenchyma, third one sclerenchyma. First, let's discuss about parenchyma tissue, which is one of the permanent tissue which gives support to the plant. Let us see what type of support it is. This is a structure of parenchyma tissue. How cells appear, how they look. Here, parenchyma cells they has large thin walled. The cells itself large, oval in shape, circular or polygonal in shape. The size as well as shape vary from one plant to another plant. It possesses a single large vacuole. It found in soft parts of a plant, cortex and pith. Cortex is the outermost region, medulla is a middle region, pith is a center, exactly center. In a wood, exactly at the center, the region of a wood is nothing but pith. So where parenchyma cells you can see. What is the location of parenchyma cells? See, they are found in soft parts of a plant. What are soft parts? Say for example, soft stem, leaf base. It also stores food in potatoes. In case of potato, this parenchyma tissue stores food, that is stores starch. It provides temporary support to the plant. It provides support only temporarily. Some parenchymatous cells, particularly in leaf, contain chloroplast and are termed chlorenchyma. If the parenchyma cells are present in leaf, definitely the leaf cells or a parenchyma tissue possess chlorophyll pigment or chloroplast. So now you can call this parenchyma as chlorenchyma. Why? Because it possesses chloroplast or chlorophyll pigment. Now let us see the second type of permanent tissue which gives support to the plant, that is collenchyma. How they appear, how cells look like. See, The cells are made up of, the cells are usually elongated and the cell wall is very thick at corners. Keep it in mind, the cells are very thick only at the corners. It is found in leaf stalk below the epidermis of a stem. You know what is meant by leaf stalk? By using leaf stalk itself, leaf attached on the surface of stem. So leaf stalk or a petiole, and you can see this collenchyma below the epidermis of a stem. Epidermis is the outermost layer. Below epidermis you can see collenchyma. The tissues helps to support the parts of a plant. What is the main function? Which gives support or mechanical strength to the plant body. The stem is erect always, straight always. Why? Due to the presence of collenchyma cells. Can you see the picture? The middle picture. First picture indicates parenchyma. Second picture, at the corner, cell wall corner, there is a thickening of a cell. The cell wall is made up of lignin and cellulose. Next, let us see here the cells are, see the collenchyma cells, the cells are elongated in nature. Next, the third type of tissue which gives protection is sclerenchyma. Here the cells composed of long, narrow, which have become dead. Out of three types of tissues, that is parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma, first two are living in nature. The third one, sclerenchyma, is always dead. The cells are dead and elongated and narrow. Narrow in the sense which is very thin. Why? Because they lost nucleus as well as cellular contents. That is why they appear narrow. These cells develop very thick walls due to the deposition of lignin. The cell wall is very thick. Why? Because the cell wall is made up of lignin. It is one of the complex sugar. The tissue provides strength to the plant parts. What is its main function? Sclerenchyma function. It provides mechanical support, strength to the plant parts. Say for example, the walnut shell is very thick as well as strong. Coconut shell is also strong, and peanut shells strong. Ropes, they are strong. Why? Because all these are made up of sclerenchyma tissue. It is found in stems and veins of a leaf. Location is, it is found in stem and also veins of a leaf. Now, the third type, based on conduction or conducting tissues, are two types. One is xylem, another one is phloem. It is also called vascular tissue. Conducting tissue is also called vascular tissue. It provides a passage for water and dissolved materials to move up and down in the plant. The two types of conducting tissues are xylem and phloem. See, after getting, if you eat food, you get what? Energy. How these food materials circulate, or energy circulate from one body, one part of the body to another part through the circulatory system. That is blood and heart. Heart pumps the blood. What about plants? How they circulate different materials, how they transport different materials by using vascular tissues. What are those vascular tissues? Xylem and phloem. Xylem conducts water and mineral elements, whereas phloem conducts food. Now, now let us discuss about xylem. Here, the xylem tissue is made up of 5 different elements. All these elements are different in nature. That is why the xylem tissue and phloem tissue is called complex tissues. If the tissue is made by only one type of cell, then the tissue is called simple tissue. If the tissue is made by more than one type of cell, then the tissue is complex. Keep it in mind, xylem and phloem are complex tissues. Here the cells are different in nature. Let us see about xylem now. Here the cells are elongated and thick-walled. Here they form a tubular passages, help in the upward movement of water. Where you put water? To the roots. So it should conduct water from the roots to the other parts of a plant body. And along with the water, it also distributes, or it also circulates dissolved salts absorbed from the soil by the roots to the other parts of a plant. Older xylem tissues forms a wood. You know what is meant by wood. What exactly the wood? It is an older xylem tissue and it does not participate in transport. Wood is always dead in nature. It does not participate in transport. We can determine the age of the tree by counting annular rings, that is xylem ring. Each and every year, the xylem, the dead tissue, forms a ring. So the number of annular rings is equal to the age of a plant. So or the age of a tree. So you can determine the age of a tree by using this annular, by counting these annular rings. Xylem is a complex tissue. As I told you, it is made up of 5 different elements, that is tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Now let us see what is meant by tracheids. Tracheids are made up of elongated dead cells with large cavities. Just imagine a drainage pipe. Just like a drainage pipe, the tracheids are very elongated in nature, dead in nature, with a large cavity at the center without any content. Here the cells are placed one end to the other. They are stacked one above the other, forms a long tube. They have highly lignified cell wall. The cell wall is made by lignin, so that is very strong in nature, which provide mechanical support. What is the use of trachea? Provides mechanical support to the xylem tissues. Next, xylem vessel are trachea. You can see here the xylem tissue. Here the xylem vessels, these are long tube-like structures meant for transporting water. The actual cells or tissues which transport water are xylem vessel or trachea. Here, xylem vessels are made up of elongated cells placed end to end, just like tracheids. Here the cell walls are hard, cell wall is hard and they are thick in nature, made up of lignin. What is lignin? It is one of the complex sugar. Here, it possesses a transverse walls which get dissolved and makes a continuous water pipe. Can you see the picture, the vessel? Yes, the left hand side, the first picture indicates a vessel, just like a drainage pipe. They are arranged, the cells are arranged one above the other. The transverse walls get dissolved and conducts water from roots to upper parts of a tree. Next, Xylem parenchyma. As I told you already, parenchyma cells sometimes they possess a chlorophyll pigment and prepares its own food. So here Xylem parenchyma provides food for the surrounding tissues or other tissues of a xylem. Here, xylem parenchyma consists of living parenchymatous cells associated with xylem. These cells serves for the storage of food and also helps in conduction of water and minerals. By storing food, it provides food to it and also give mechanical support to other xylem tissues. Now, let us see phloem. What is phloem tissue? Phloem is a tissue, one of the vascular tissue, which is very complex in nature, which conducts food. Here the cells provide passage for the upward movement of food manufactured in the leaves to various parts of plant. Where leaves occurs usually in the aerial parts, as you know. Here, leaves are the sites of photosynthesis. So it prepares food. From the leaves, other branches, stem as well as roots, food is passed through phloem. Complex tissues which are made up of phloem are, the phloem is made by different types of tissues. Let us see what are those tissues or cells. The elements of phloem are sieve tube, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. This is the tissue of phloem. See the right hand side picture. This is a phloem tissue. First, let us see what are sieve tubes. Sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. All these are the elements of phloem. Let us see what is meant by sieve tube. Sieve tubes. See the picture? This is a sieve tube. It is made up of elongated cell placed end to end, just like a xylem, forming a long tube. The cells are stacked one above the other, form a long tube. The transverse or the side walls, transverse walls or side walls are perforated, which have a holes. Perforated called sieve plates. Can you see sieve plate? Sieve plates are nothing but these are transverse walls along with holes or pores, which helps in transport of food from leaves to storage organs and other parts of a plant. These sieve plates helps in the conduction of food material from leaves to other parts wherever the food is required by the plant. Next, companion cells, as the name indicates, supporting cells or surrounding cells. Living parenchymatous cells closely associated with sieve tube cells, they help in functioning of a sieve tube cell. Here, sieve tubes, the functioning of sieve tubes depends upon companion cells. As companion cells are parenchymatous cells, it stores food and provides support to the sieve tube. Next, phloem parenchyma. These are parenchymatous tissue associated with phloem, mainly concerned in storage of starch as well as fat. This parenchyma tissue helps in storage of what? Food as well as fat. Food in the form of starch and fatty substances. Next, phloem fibers, as the name indicates, fibers provide support. These are sclerenchymatous tissue found associated with phloem. They mainly provide support. Fibers always provides support. Next, xylem and phloem collectively form vascular bundles. These vascular bundles majorly they are present in veins of a leaf. This is a flowchart of plant tissue. Plant tissues are classified into two types. One is meristematic tissue, another one is permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue, based on location, they are classified into apical, lateral, and intercalary meristem. Meristematic tissue have a capability of cell division. When they lose the capability of cell division, they becomes permanent tissue. Permanent tissue again classified into two types, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. As the name indicates, simple permanent tissue, the tissue which is made up of only one type of cell. Again, it is classified into three types, parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma, two types, fibers and sclerates, which is not there in your syllabus. Next, complex tissues. As the name indicates, the tissue is complex in nature, which are made by different types of cells or elements. Example, xylem is made up of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. Phloem is made up of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Answer these questions in the next class. Let us discuss about animal tissues.